every time you sat at a red light, you've got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
That red light be the trigger to just do as many as you can.
Because you need to know, like, are you healing okay? Because, you know, so red flags would be pus, pain, inflammation, horrendous stitching.
Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Katie. I'm a personal trainer and fitness professional, and this channel is all about bringing you all kinds of useful health and fitness advice that you can implement into your life straight away. In this video, I'm going to be talking to the lovely Nurse Sarah Jeffries again. This is part 2 of our chat. If you haven't seen part number 1, go back and watch that first. In this chat, we talk about all things pre and postnatal health, fitness and exercise. I really hope that you enjoy it. Make sure you check out Sarah's YouTube channel as well, and her Instagram, because she shares loads of fantastic content. So now, if you're ready, let's get into it.
I want to talk about something again that I think it's talked about enough. And this is the old, after you've had a baby, or even when you're pregnant and there's more stress on your pelvic floor, if you do like an unexpected sneeze or a little cough, or sometimes if you do like some jump squats or something like that, and a little wee happens, it happens to us all.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Don't talk about it enough. It definitely has happened to me, despite all the work I've still done on my pelvic floor and everything. What's been your experience in that department?
Same thing. And just actually learning what a Kegel was a huge thing for me. Especially because, and not many people know this, like I had to have a hysterectomy as well. Right. So I had I've still got my ovaries, but I had to have a hysterectomy. So I had like cervical cancer. Right. So once that got taken out, so this was maybe like when my youngest was 2 years old. So I'm doing great. I'm learning what a Kegel is. I try and do, you know, so many videos out there, and the gym is just mostly males who, you know, you tell them what a Kegel is, they think it's a sandwich. Mm-hmm. So trying to find out what that is at the same time is raising these kids and going to work and being in school, and then I had to have a hysterectomy, and that was that's like a whole different experience, because then I started to feel like, well, it's not there anymore. So and then I did my own research and found that like the womb is like the pillar of it all. Mm-hmm. So you really have to look at your medical notes, I think, because before my hysterectomy, my medical notes, it said that I had a cystocele. So a cystocele is where like your bladder can fall back into your womb. Okay. So I mean, it's important that you examine yourself and you see what's going on down there, because a lot of women will look and think, well, what's that bulge coming out? Where's that coming from? And it's because, you know, your muscles aren't strong down there, so you have these things like falling out, and then you have a rectocele where your bowels are falling into your womb and coming out there. So there's just all sorts going on. So you really need to pay close attention. It's pretty scary because there's not much information out there about it.
So would you say, you know, there's always loads of campaigns about like breast health awareness, and people always think about like check your boobs, check for lumps, check for changes. Would you say you should, for every time you do that, you should be doing the same thing down there?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'd just be more aware of it, because I wish that I'd spent more time checking things down there, because not only when you've just had the baby, you know, like you've got stitches, and then you probably got piles, and on top of that you're sitting trying to breastfeed this screamy baby, but you have this pressure of, well, they're not latched on properly and they're not feeding properly. It's like, this will sort itself out. Like the baby will figure it out. If not, get some formula done. I believe in like happy mom. Mm-hmm. And I wish somebody was in my ear saying, you know, like, check yourself down there, like how you doing, how you bleeding, like how's your stitches, how's your piles, you know, like there's spaces down there for stuff to go wrong.
Right, this is a really interesting conversation because I was really keen to talk about things that don't get talked about regularly. Mm-hmm. So we all know that when we do a breast check, we're looking for like changes, dimpling, puckering of the skin, lumps and bumps, changes to the nipple. What if somebody's having a little check down there? What should they be looking for? Like, what would be a bit of a red flag? And how do you check? Is this going to be a, like, get your phone out, have a look? Is it going to be a hand mirror? Is it just going to be hands? What's it going to be?
Yeah, I would be like using your mirror or a phone, like whatever's easiest to just, especially like after you've had the baby and if you've got stitches, like, you know, like ask your doctor how many stitches you had, ask like which way your tear was, because you need to know, like, are you healing okay? Because, you know, so red flags would be pus, pain, inflammation around the stitching. And then once like the prenatal areas out the way and you trying to get back to normal, I think it's just like feeling for the tone, not so much like the visualization, but like feeling yourself, like try and stop your pee, like when you're on the toilet, you know, like trying to stop midstream is really important. And if not, you know, like then having a little look and say like, what's going on? You know, like you can feel yourself if you feel like a little bit of a bulge. For anybody who's ever had a prolapse, they describe it as like having a bulge. You're like, what's that feeling down there? So then you need to have a look and you need to, like, you know, use your clean fingers and have a feel around in there to feel like, does it feel normal? Like, can I press on things? Does it hurt? Yeah, things like that. You just like need to know your anatomy because, you know, men are anatomy because they've never got the hands out of there. So why shouldn't we know our anatomy and be feeling like of all the crevices and holes to make sure it feels normal?
I remember after I had Heidi, I got piles bad. I got them bad. Fortunately, I didn't have any like tears or stitches or anything, but the other end, like, stuff was going on. And I said to Simon, you're going to have a look. I need you to have a look. He was like, Katie, I can't do that. I can't do it. And in the end, I waited until he was in like a position where he couldn't avoid it. I showed him, and he was like, "Oh my God!" And he nearly passed out. But I was pleased I forced him to look so that I could gauge by his reaction how bad things were, and then I did go to the doctors and speak to them a bit more about it, and like they advised and they gave like some cream and all the rest of it. So I always feel like whenever I need to go to the doctors, it's like an episode of Embarrassing Bodies. I don't know if you get that show over there.
I love that show. I love that show.
It's always something like down there. I've never got like a poorly hand, and so I went and I felt really embarrassed, but I forced myself to go and think it's really important that if anybody else feels the same, they should go.
Yeah, because I can tell you some horror stories if you don't go. You know, if you just ignore things, like they'll only end up worse. You might as well go when you found it, or if you've got like uncomfortable pain. But I know as well, like it's so hard to get. My mum and dad were telling us how hard it is to get an appointment at the doctor's now. Yeah. So, like, that's even more reason for people to talk about things. So that you did have that pain, and by Simon's reaction, it was probably really bad. But if you just left it and ignored the pain, like you can get an ischemic pile where like it loses the blood flow, and then you have to get that cut off and like stitches in your rectal cavity. So it's either like bite the bullet and get it sorted or ending up worse. So you have to get it sorted at some point. But yeah, that's what I mean by having a look. You know, if you'd looked in the beginning and thought, oh, it's just a little one, you could have like solved it with some Anusol or something, and like some witch hazel wipes or like some cooling stuff. I had all the tricks, all the treatments down there. But you know, when you looked, it was probably really red and inflamed, and just like so sore.
Yeah. And have you, in your role as a nurse, have you ever encountered anything where like people have left stuff and they've ended up in the emergency room, like any sort of almost horror stories to really encourage people that they should go at the early stages?
I can't give specifics in case anyone's watching over here. They've got like HIPAA violations, so I might get in trouble, but I can give a like a gist of a story. It was about like the piles. There was this young girl and she just like left it, and it was so big, and actually the blood circulation got cut off, so it turned like ischemic. Ischemic means like dead tissue. So it's just like this dead piece of like pile outside of her body, and she needed to get it taken off. And if she didn't, like that could go gangrenous, like gangrenes where like the infection's gone so bad and there's just no blood. So it's like she was really poorly, and she had like sepsis, and so you just have to be on top of things, and check yourself, so that, what's this little berry thing popping out? That's not normal, and treat it on early. Like it's always about preventative, right?
So it doesn't get at that bad point. And we're talking about earlier about Kegels, and I think everybody's aware that they should do them through their pregnancy. Everybody's aware that they should do them like post-labor, but a lot of people don't, or don't know how to do them properly. So when you would do, a lot of people think it's just stop yourself having a wee quick, and you forget about like abdominal engagement, actually pulling up at the back as well, as if when you're self-passing wind as well as water.
I was watching one of your videos the other day. You did it, so I laid down. I was like, oh, that's much better.
How did you, like when you were doing yours, what would you be like your tips? How did you remind yourself to do them? When did you do them? How often?
There's this woman that I know really well. She's called Carly Tracy, and she is all about like postnatal stuff. And she did a little video thinking about an elevator. Like you can't lift the elevator up until you close the doors, and that analogy helps me. So she said, like, make sure something like that. So make sure like you tighten everything in, so get everything inside the elevator before you can like cinch it in. So like talking about engaging your abdominal muscles and get everything sucked in before you like do that last little bit.
Yeah.
And which is, I was doing it completely wrong. I was just doing like the last little bit, like trying to stop having a wee, and I thought that was it, and I was doing it way wrong.
I like that analogy, because in Pilates, a lot of instructors will talk about the elevator or the lift going, you feel as though you're coming up, which is a great analogy, but it does always make people like just pull up at the front, like as if they're stopping themselves having a wee. So
you need to remember to shut the doors.
Shut the doors, stop yourself passing wind,
get
your belly button in, and then the elevator can come up. Go on.
It's tough to remember, it's tough to do it, but I really feel if I haven't done it in a couple of days, even now, like I really can feel it different, because I don't have my womb holding everything in there, especially for me. So I have to remember to do it. Otherwise, I'm going to have to get one of these slings that you hear about all the lawsuits. Like, do you have a medical sling? Oh, I don't want one of them. So I really have to do it. I should be doing it every day, but I forget. So I notice when I haven't done it.
A little trick that I say to people is do them when you're sat in traffic at a red light.
That's a good idea.
Every time you sat at a red light, you've got nothing else to do. That red light be the trigger to just do as many as you can while you sat there, and then when it's green, you can forget about it. You can concentrate on driving again. That seems to work quite well. And the other thing, I mean, you mentioned the sling there. The other thing that you hear about some people getting is that mesh for abdominal separation.
Right.
Where
I
mean, they get a mixed review, but all of these things like slings and mesh, and for some people they will be unavoidable, but for a lot of people, just doing those basic things at the start and not putting yourself under too much pressure initially to jump back into your big strenuous workouts, just concentrating on that can make the world a difference, can't it?
Yeah, definitely can. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I just remember like afterwards feeling so much pressure, like I have to jump straight back into working out, especially with my second one, because I wasn't sure if we're going to have a third. I mean, between the first and second, it's like, I'm going to have another one, so I'm just not going to jump back into it. And I did a little bit of stuff, but definitely between the second and third, did like a really rigorous exercise program and was really strict on me calories, but was trying to like get some good nutrients into it. So it was good looking back, but I put way too much myself. Yeah, for somebody who's not exercising every day like you.
Final question, both from a medical point of view and a personal point of view, if you could give yourself, your pre-children self, any advice, what would it be?
Oh, don't have kids now, just kidding. I would say don't, nutrition's really important. Yeah, you're not eating for two. It's an old wives' tale. Yeah, just eat the same and you should actually be eating healthier.
No, it sounds
what a lot of people wouldn't want to hear, because you want to take advantage of it, but you can't, because it's just not good for you.
No, for sure. Sound advice. And I think to add to that, I mean, we've touched on a few times, it's just don't put the pressure on. The excess weight will come off. I always think about, it's like rebuilding a house. Do the foundations first. Do your floor, Kegels, do move more.
Yeah, one more thing before, I don't know if it's going to cut off soon, but another incentive for doing your Kegels, it's not just so you don't pee yourself, it's so it actually makes like sex feel better for, not for the man, not bother about them, like it feels better for us, because you're like using your muscles and you're tightening things up, which I think it's not really spoken about, like not supposed to say sex. So it's like it makes everything tighter and it feels better for you. So I think that's a good incentive. If that message was spoken about more, then everybody would be doing the Kegels, wouldn't they?
There's a great Pilates instructor I know. She once said in a workshop I was sat in, she said, if you're not sure if you're doing your pelvic floor correctly, wait till the next time you're having sex and then try and do it. And if your partner knows that you're engaging your pelvic floor and they can feel a little bit of a squeeze, then you're doing it right.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Well, Sarah, I think we should leave it on that. Thank you so much for sharing everything.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I hope it was good. Hope it was helpful.
Oh, it's perfect. Thank you very much.
All right, love. I'll speak to you later.
See you later. Bye.
So there you go. That's the end of mine and Sarah's chat about all things postnatal health, fitness and exercise. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found the content useful. If you did, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and feel free to leave any questions in the comments below. Also, don't forget to go and follow Nurse Sarah on YouTube and Instagram. She posts fantastic content, and I will pop the links to her YouTube channel and her Instagram in the description below. And of course, obviously, the bloopers. Blinked a bit too much there. Ha ha. Oh my god, I just feel like I've entirely lost the plot. Right, you must be having such a laugh editing this.